What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we're going to be talking about federal cannabis legalization, how it's likely to make millionaires, what you guys can start doing in your own lives to actually start identifying opportunities like this and start making some money. So we're going to talk about, first off, what this new massive catalyst for obviously stocks is, right? Stocks are moving up in a big way, most importantly, cannabis-related stocks, right? Cannabis-related stocks are pumping through the roof. You can see right here on the yearly chart, Sundial is moving up in a massive way. You can see tlry moving up in a massive way. These stocks are just starting to pop off today, right? They're up 21% on the day, 23% on the day, and up even more in the after hours, actually making highs just 1 minute ago on Sundial. So look at that. These stocks are continuing to soar off of this news. Federal cannabis legalization bill officially scheduled for House floor vote next week. Now, I want to start off by saying, guys, that there's a couple ways you can go about identifying these opportunities and making money and whatnot. The first thing that you've got to realize is it is a very tough life to be a day trader, right? You can be a day trader and you can try to every day just be on that grind, staring at the screen, making 1%, 3%, 5% profits, trying to get whatever pennies you can throughout the course of the day. And it's something I've tried. It's something I've not been a massive fan of. What I've much preferred is finding stocks that are about to move big, getting in a little bit early based on catalysts that I can identify in advance, and then having some patience, right? It's actually a whole lot less stressful, in my opinion, to buy into a stock. Now, I'll point out the stock that I ended up buying about 2 years ago was Sundial, and I bought it for about 19 cents per share, okay? And of course, it moved down to 13 cents, and I thought I was a sucker, but then it turned out I wasn't, right? It ended up moving up in a pretty massive way. Now, I bought into this because it was right before the November elections, right? The presidential elections, actually, and I figured that we were likely to see a lot of Democrats probably take over the House and Senate. And that's exactly what happened. And it turns out Democrats, at least at the time, were viewed as being more friendly towards cannabis legalization. And cannabis stocks started soaring past that point, right? We actually got some cannabis legalization bills introduced in December of 2020. And we did see some really positive price movements for a lot of these cannabis stocks. Now, Sundial was one of them. But my point is, right, there are opportunities out there in the markets. There are things that you can identify, times and catalysts that are probably going to come to fruition. And if you can have a little bit of patience, right, if you don't need the rush of getting into a stock and then the very next day it's pumping up, if you can have a little bit of patience and you can wait for these catalysts to play out, you can actually get some pretty big profits. And it's something that you typically don't see when you're, a day trader and you're actually just jumping into a stock and then trying to get out within an hour, right? Because oftentimes, these stocks, they can 5x, they can 10x, they can 20x, right? You look at Sundial from the lows of 13 cents to $3.96. That was up 2,500%. So a 25x, just about crazy stuff that you ended up seeing in Sundial stock. Really impressive stuff. That kind of stuff happens in the market sometimes, right? You can see mjna did something similar, another cannabis stock, right? Moved up massively. Also about, let's see, from the lows to the highs, about 1,500%. And, a lot of the times people are just trying to squeeze out some little gains on the day. They're trying to just get a couple $100, but are risking, potentially thousands taking these day trades. Now, I much prefer the strategy of just waiting. Sometimes it takes a couple of months. Sometimes it takes a year. You never know exactly when these things are going to play out. And to get in on them, you've got to be a little bit early. Otherwise, the stocks have already started pumping. Now, obviously, I don't think it's too late to jump in. I think there's a whole lot more upside on these cannabis stocks. I think that this cannabis legalization is probably going to continue driving them up for the next couple of weeks and months as we really hear more about it. Reason is, this is the first of many catalysts that are coming through, right? Federal cannabis legalization bill scheduled for a House floor vote. We've moved up massively just on the scheduling of a House floor vote for a cannabis legalization bill. Now, the House has already passed this bill, right? It's the MORE Act. They've already passed this bill back in December of 2020. It passed in a 228 to 164 vote. The last time it passed, we did see some pretty positive price action on a lot of cannabis stocks, Sundial specifically, right? We saw it move up dramatically over the course of December, and especially in January and February, huge swings up in price. So I would expect that we'd probably see this pass the House again, right? The House is very cannabis friendly. The U.S. Senate apparently is also very cannabis friendly because also as of today, the U.S. Senate unanimously approves a cannabis reform bill on the very same day that the House scheduled the cannabis legalization vote, okay? So it's really almost like they're winking at us, right? It's almost like the Senate is winking at us and saying that they're likely to pass this legalization bill because they just passed another cannabis reform bill. Now, it's not the legalization bill, right? They didn't pass that. It's a bipartisan piece of legislation meant to promote research into cannabis. Okay, it would streamline the application process for researchers who want to study cannabis and encourage the FDA to develop cannabis-derived medicines. So impressive stuff there. We've also got Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, planning to file his own cannabis legalization bill in April. So we've got a whole bunch of catalysts, a whole slew of catalysts, and a whole bunch of supporters of cannabis legalization that are likely to be piling in, sometime soon, right? We're expecting in April to see some of them enacting their own bills. We're expecting that the cannabis supporters, notably Amazon being one of them, right? They actually posted this back in January. They said, "We support legalizing cannabis at the federal level and have endorsed the MORE Act, the bill that is actually being that is going to be voted on in the House." And they also endorsed Representative Nancy Mace's States Reforms Act, right? They said that they want to, that they're committed to helping lead the effort towards cannabis legalization. So Amazon, one of the world's biggest companies, is already in big on this. Now, like I was saying, I think there are a lot of opportunities still in cannabis stocks. Now, there are obviously varying opportunities, right? It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for, potentially a meme-driven stock, right? Sundial is a great option, in my opinion. It's had meme-driven rallies in the past alongside cannabis legalization hype. You've also got smaller market cap stocks like mjna, which is pumped up pretty dramatically in the past, and over-the-counter penny stock trading for about 2 cents at the moment. It's up pretty dramatically at the moment. You've also got tlry, a massive cannabis company, right? One of the biggest cannabis companies out there that is also pumping on the day, right? It's likely to continue pumping. It is pumping during the after hours, at least. It's up to almost $8 per share, putting it almost up to here at this point. So it's seriously, it's growing pretty fast as well. So there's a lot of cannabis stocks out there. I don't think it's too late to be jumping in on them. That's just my opinion. It's not financial advice. But I do think that we're likely to continue to see charts like this only moving up, right? This is a Google Trends chart for Sundial stock. I think we're only going to see more people looking into these stocks as we get more and more news about cannabis legalization, right? As of right now, we've mostly got algorithms buying into these stocks. We've mostly got institutional buyers who hear about this news instantly, and they're able to jump on the ball before everybody else. But a lot of retail traders are typically, the biggest investors in these cannabis stocks. Typically, retail ends up buying up a lot of cannabis stocks, and a lot of retail may not have heard of this because this news is only a couple of hours old. I think that there's still going to be a lot of room for these stocks to grow as more and more people start hearing about this kind of stuff, right? We, as of about 5 minutes ago, we're just making new highs on the chart. So I do not think by any means that we are done moving up. I still think there's a lot of opportunity. Obviously, you guys can take that with a grain of salt. There's no telling for sure what's going to happen with these, but I can only anticipate that we're probably going to see some higher price action, some higher price swings for these stocks over the next couple of weeks, especially considering the fact that we might and probably will, in my opinion, really see cannabis legalization, right? Nobody is going to want to be the person holding it back because November midterms are coming up, right? They're coming up pretty darn soon. And no politician is going to be the one to be the one to stand in the way of cannabis legalization and giving the people what they want, because you can see, according to this poll, support for legal marijuana holds a record high of 68%. Now, that's one poll where they just asked, do you support legalizing marijuana? But this poll over here actually shows that only 10% of U.S. adults think marijuana should be illegal, right? You can see about 8% said it should not be legal, and 31% said it should be legal for medical use. 60% said it should be legal for medical and recreational use. So that adds up to about 91% of people right there who think that cannabis should be legal and to some extent, right? So we'll likely see some form of cannabis legalization. Nobody wants to be the politician standing in between the people and what they have at least said that they want, right? So I think that there is still a lot of room to grow in this space. It's something that a lot of people are going to be potentially fearful to enter because they've already seen it pump up over the past couple of weeks. But notably, we're not even at the highs of where we were just 3 or 4 months ago, back in November. So November highs for these stocks were much, much higher, right? They've still moved down dramatically. They've moved down dramatically over the past year, and things have never actually, from a fundamental perspective, looked better for a lot of these stocks, right? These stocks are probably going to be doing pretty darn well especially once we get cannabis legalization in the United States. They're probably going to be performing even better. But what's notable is that over the past couple of months and years, really, as their prices have been declining, as short interest on these stocks has been increasing. You can see in tlry, a lot of shorts have just perpetually been piling into it. A lot of positive developments have actually been occurring for them, right? We've got a earnings call for sndl coming up. They'll likely have some decent news there. We've had some positive earnings results for Nova Cannabis, right? We're going to get some more earnings calls later this month, early next month. We're going to have some earnings calls in April, and we're going to see what kind of results these cannabis companies are getting. Hopefully good stuff. We're going to see. But in my opinion, it's not too late to be getting into cannabis stocks. That's just what I'm thinking, right? I think that cannabis legalization is probably going to make people a whole bunch of money in these stocks. I expect they'll probably be doing pretty darn well. Obviously, that's not financial advice. That's just my expectation. It's just what I think is going to happen. It's just some of the catalysts that we've got going for us that are probably going to be driving these stocks up. That's just what I'm here to talk about. So if you guys appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.